Zack. Ja, und wie ich das befürchtet habe, sind wir tatsächlich bei Riverside die einzigen beiden gerade. Weil es haben sich erstaunlicherweise nur 6 Leute angemeldet auf Meetup. Einer, der müsste noch kommen. Wobei, sind wir beide das? Ja, ich glaube. Ich glaube, wir beide sind das hier. Egal, dann warten wir noch auf Falk. Und als Artifact haben wir ja dann immerhin die Aufzeichnung. Haha, da ist er. Guten Morgen, Falk. Good morning.
Moin.
Okay.
Oh, tut mir leid, ich habe den Link nicht mehr gefunden.
Ja, alles gut. Yeah, and that, by the way, I'm switching to English. So it was wrong. We have visitors. So at least there is one in Riverside right now. And yeah, the visitor on Riverside, you can just say hello in the chat if you like. And because I mistook the numbers in this UI with the numbers of the guests, so meaning Moritz, Falk, and me, and that was wrong. There is a visitor, and maybe some more will join. Again, Meetup is showing really weird participant numbers that don't match the real participants, as always. All right. So, Falk, everything all right?
Yes.
Because I had a chat with Moritz before, and yeah.
Everything is fine.
Everything is fine. Okay. Nice. So yes, is there activity in the chat? There is an issue that I see. Falk Zipper has Riverside open in other tabs. Aha. Ask Falk, that's interesting. Ask
I
to close all other browser
website
tabs.
and tried it, but it already closed it. So.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. What should I do? I can disregard this. Interesting. I never saw that. Okay, Servus, der Stefan ist da. Ei, wunderbar. Dann können wir ja fast noch im Deutschen bleiben. Genau. Also auf Meetup komme ich auch so nicht klar, ja. Das ist weird. Du kriegst da irgendwie manchmal haufenweise Anmeldungen, manchmal gar nichts. Ich kriege den Algorithmus nicht hin, aber es ist mir ja nicht wichtig, dass wir möglichst viele Visitors haben hier, sondern dass wir ein Thema aufzeichnen. Und wie eben schon gesagt, wir haben ja das YouTube-Video im Anschluss noch und das ist ja auch ein Artefakt. Sehr schön. Also, Stefan, fast eine Privataudienz für dich. Und in dem Moment, wo ich das sage, there is another visitor joining. So this will go up and down. And so let's just stay in English here and begin the event. Okay, so this will be, again, just a little organizational topic beforehand. So this will be streamed to YouTube and to, what's this other thing that the young people use called? It is called Twitch. Yes, it's called Twitch. And of course, on Riverside. For future reference, it's a wise decision to join this meetup with Riverside because then you can use the chat in a more convenient way, and also you can take part in the polls that I'm going to start. So at least one poll. Yes. As you can see, we have 3 guests. So, hi, I'm Stephen. I'm the one organizing this for a couple of years. And then we have my dear colleague Moritz here and dear friend and colleague Moritz here and my dear friend Falk. They will be introduced later on, and these two will provide basically the content, but you can, so the participants, you can join and share your insights as well via the chat or as also via the, what is this feature called? You can trigger a call in. So if you use a Chrome-based browser like Brave or like Chrome, you should see a button on the, I think, lower right side. This is called a call in. And then you can just say, I want to enable my cam and my video and just ask a question or answer a question that we are going to ask you. So this is how we can basically emulate some Zoom feeling here, although Riverside is meant to be basically as a podcast. So see this as a podcast live recording, and you can join in. Also, before I forget that, I would be very happy if you, at the end of this event, or maybe even now, if you would give me a rating on meetup.com. It would even be better if you give a great rating, but you can give any rating you want. Yeah, but a good one would be highly welcomed. So this is so much for the organizational topics beforehand, and again, the number of participants is slightly rising, so let's see how many we will be. Hello to all of the newcomers here, and yeah, I'm going to share my screen, and we will have one or two, yeah, let's call them media breaks in between. So I will have to set up in a different screen to show you something, but that will be only later. So if you want to consume the recorded version that will be published on YouTube, there you will most likely have a better audio version and a better video version of us. And also you will have a cut version. So this will be, depending on how much time I can invest in the post recording, available, let's say, I don't know, a week or 2 or 3 or more from now. Okay, so, and what I can also do, let's see. But we are live, and we are already continuously uploading, recording. Yes, this will work. Okay, then I can share my screen, and then we can just begin. Let's see this one. Yes. Let's share this one. Where is it? Here. All right. So you are here, if you did not click this on purpose, for a talk about the iSAQB CPSA-F certification. This is a wonderful title for a presentation. This is one of the most important, from my perspective, most important certifications you can get as a software architect or as an IT architect. And why this is and what you should do to prepare for this is the topic of this talk. And I guess that we will be here for around 60 to 90 minutes, depending on your questions and on the discussions that we will have. And we will have a look at a couple of parts. So we will talk about, of course, I'm going to introduce to you what this is, how you can participate in this certification. And the second focus I want to have, next to the organizational topics, is my learning plan and my roadmap. So I would not only talk about what this certification is all about and dive a little bit into the technical parts, but only want to share with you how I prepared for it. So I am CPSA-F certified, and what was my learning plan? How did I approach this certification? And how did I use certain methodologies to be successful in this certification? Then in part 5, we will talk about some content picks. So there is a lot to learn from the technical perspective, and we will just talk about that also either briefly or if you have questions in more detail. This is at the latest where Falk and Moritz will join in and support me with their knowledge. And the last part of this talk will be about the exam preparation. So how do you actually prepare for the real deal so that you can also say, I am CPSA certified. And then there is a next level of the foundational certification, which is called CPSA-Advanced. And then we can see what's the next step after you completed this level. But I mentioned them before. Falk and Moritz, would you be so very kind to introduce yourself briefly? Falk, would you begin?
Yes, I'm Falk. I'm living in Darmstadt, Germany. That's Darmstadt is next to Frankfurt, and I work for software architecture consultancy company. It's called Embark, as a trainer and consultant. And I'm also a trainer for the iSAQB CPSA-F Foundation curriculum, so we will talk about it later. Yeah, that's it. So it's your turn, Moritz.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So I'm Moritz. I'm a software and system architect in the MSG, like Steven currently. I have 10 years of experience in software development in general on enterprise level, more or less 5 years. In the last 5 years, I supported several projects, mainly focusing on software and system architecture. I'm currently mainly focusing on AWS certification, so the system architecture part. But on the project level, where I'm into software and system architecture is required on the same level. Additionally, I'm the trainer of our internal cloud experience program, so teaching others in system architecture and cloud stuff, basically, but also focusing, as mentioned, on software architecture like the iSAQB.
Yes, and as I said, I am really grateful that the both of you, are here to support me in this talk because, as mentioned, Falk, you have a really deep experience as a trainer for all or for a lot of architectural topics and also regarding this certification in particular. And Moritz, we worked in multiple projects and very different scenarios with a lot of architecture and documenting architecture, documenting our decisions, which is one very important part of this certification. So I think, yeah, both of you bring a lot of experience to the table when it comes to this certification. So yes, looking forward to the talk. So, if you don't know me, I am Steven, and I'm not talking about my past or what I'm doing right now, but rather about my voyage. So I began as a Java developer 1.5 decades ago. That is really time is flying. And I always love to share my knowledge and my experiences and talked a lot in giving talks, but also with colleagues and in internal trainings and so on. And I quickly became something that is called a technical team lead. So titles are not very important to me, but there is a point in your career where titles become important and where designations become important. So that was the point for me. I somehow became an architect in this role as a technical team lead, because as a lead you have to make decisions and you have to communicate them, and this happened quite early in my career. And also I took over cross-functional roles for multiple teams. So you have bigger decisions that are more important, so more costly if they are wrong. And they target multiple customers, they target multiple projects. So this all leads to the question, okay, am I an architect? So judging from my activities in my years of being a software developer, yes, of course, because I prepared decisions, I analyzed systems, and I communicated those decisions, and together with other people, I took responsibility. So by some definition, this is what an architect does. But it was just by experience and not by some formal training. And that kind of yeah, I did not love that fact, and I was eager to change that and to get at least some formal title to this, to this role. And funny enough, that was rather late because I was, I don't know, for 10 years this architect, and now I just have the foundational certification for an architect. And this raises the question if I would even be a good architect. So as you can see, in tech, in IT, in software development, it doesn't really matter your formal training, not always at least, but what you can actually do. But on the other side, having certain certifications, having certain roles and formal designations, it helps. So this brought me to the question, what am I doing? So what is missing? What can I learn? So what are the systems, for example, for documenting architectures? I mean, we all know this approach where you just draw boxes and arrows between them, maybe in PowerPoint, and this is your work as a software architecture or a software architect. But are there real systems for doing that? The next thing is thinking modes. So how does a real architect or a formally trained architect look at problems and get to a point where they can make decisions about systems more quickly than I do, because I don't have that formal training. Also, what aspects? So maybe if I analyze a system and judge the system, maybe there are some important aspects that I just cannot analyze because I don't know that they would be important. So it can be, right? If I I don't know, for an example, if I only had a look at banking systems, simple CRUD systems that just take data in and compute something and return data, then maybe I will never think about, for example, scaling, because in banking you will not use hyperscalers, and this is why you would not focus on horizontal scaling. That was questions that I asked. And also the vocabulary is really important for me, that I use the correct terms, because it's a really fast way to to showing that you don't know what you are talking about when you use the wrong terms. So that I wanted to avoid and learn the right vocabulary. All right, so I want to have demonstrable experience. I want to have the structure in my knowledge, or a structure in my knowledge, learn new things, of course. And also, when I had a look at the CPSA-F foundation certification, I learned that it's really cheap. I mean, 300 euros, okay, it's not nothing, but it's not like the thousands of euros you will spend on other trainings. Not saying that they are not good or bad, but 300 euros, you can invest that. So that was the point where I began researching this certification, and I quite quickly decided to get certified, because first I knew Falk, and Falk is a trainer and kind of, from my perspective, an evangelist of this certification. And when I talked to him, I quickly learned that it's a good idea to get this certification and to have this formal training. And also, it's a standard. Everyone, or at least in some parts of the world, everyone relevant knows this certification. It's excellently documented, and a lot of knowledge is there. And especially it's known in Germany, well known and appreciated in Germany. So if you especially focus on German IT companies, then this is a good investment from my research. And oh, by the way, to Falk and Moritz, join in every time. So if I'm not telling quite the truth, or you want to just add something, then just join in. I see this as an effort from the three of us to share as much knowledge as possible. All right, and when we are in a small organizational corner, I would like to start a poll for you, and I would like to learn from you if you are already CPSA-F certified. So just a really simple poll, yes or no, because I assume that if you are here and you click no, that you at least think about getting the certification, or you have a lot of time on your hands. Okay, so just let us learn if you are already certified. Good, so here's my summary from my decision process. It's a good certification to have. It's not costly, and it brings a lot of knowledge, and it is well known. So this brought me to what actually is CPSA, and why is there this other abbreviation iSAQB in front of it, or at least next to it. So that brings us to the distinguish between the organization and the certification. So the organization, iSAQB, it stands for International Software Architecture Qualification Board. It's a typical German organization form. It's EV. This is for eingetragener Verein. So if you are not from Germany and wondering, this is a German organizational form. And yeah, it is well known. It's organized by the community and supported by a lot of people who want to get some formal training into the IT world, especially in the architecture world. And there are a lot of sources that are provided, and also the curriculum for this certification. You can learn more about it on isaqb.org. This is where I would slightly pause and give at least Falk the word.
I want to add that the association is open for new members. So if you're interested to help to improve the curricula or to help with in the different working groups, then you are invited to join us. And if you're interested, then just contact me and we can talk about it, how that works. So it's free, so you don't have to pay a fee, but you have to help a bit to bring the association further.
Yeah. That is, of course, always the one thing that every EV, every Verein, every organization wants to have: more members, more activities. So yes, thanks for this addition. So the iSAQB specifies a learning path, a certification path that looks like this. So at the very beginning, you have a CPSA foundational level where you can use trainings to prepare for the CPSA foundation level multiple choice test. This is what we are just talking about in this talk. So it's the preparation for the exam and the first yellow thingy here. Later in the talk, we will have a brief look about the advanced level, and then there is also a third level in planning, right? But a couple of years for now in the making.
Yeah, there's a so-called expert level, and it was made public available last year for a few months, but then they recognized that it has to be reworked, so it's still in progress. So maybe there will be some more steps later. So there are also a few more steps in between foundation and advanced level, but it's still internal in the discussion in the association and the iSAQB.
Yeah, so basically this is the perfect timing to begin with the CPSA foundation level, because if you have this and if you advance to the advanced level, then maybe there's the third one available. So begin now with this talk. Okay. I would skip showing you this website, because you can just have a look at it yourself, and I would like to dive into the real content of this talk. But first of all, just end this poll and let's click here. And as you can see, 75% of the visitors do not have the CPSA certification. I could not click it for some reason, so maybe that's
I was the one,
less.
and I think Moritz didn't join us.
I did also.
Yes. So my assumption was correct. So you are right when you want to have this certification. Good. So what are the prerequisites for doing this, for beginning this certification? So this is expected prior knowledge. So basically what you should have, what you should bring to the table. For example, I'm just talking about the FET text here, 18 months plus in practical software development experience. That is, I think, the most important prerequisite. So if you are really new to programming, to doing something with IT in the terms of architecturing systems, then you would most likely get more experience, just to see more problems and to think about more problems, so that it is easier for you to understand what the curriculum is really talking about. And then I think in the age of AI, the second one is it's a really interesting prerequisite, the knowledge of at least one programming language. So maybe we will have in a couple of years that no one is knowing really a programming language, because everyone is just scripting and reviewing, hopefully reviewing what the LLM is returning. But it's a really good idea just to get some hands-on, or to have some hands-on experience in actually programming. And then there are some tricky prerequisites, for example, basic understanding of UML diagrams, because in my training books, UML was not a focus. It was just said, okay, you should know the diagrams. And UML is, in my experience, something that a lot of developers learn in their studies, so really early on, and then just forget about it. And if they have to explain and document and communicate a software system, then they went back to drawing arrows and boxes in some kind of way. And to make this worse, everyone reading them can maybe understand them to 90%, and that's sufficient. So UML diagrams, correct UML diagrams, I rarely see them in the wild out there. So these topics may be checked in the exam, and it's a good idea to get at least some knowledge of these topics. This is a timetable that is how it is recommended, or a brief estimation on how much time you would invest for these 6 parts of the curriculum. And I can just say that is not what I took, so it was way more for me.
Actually, it's
Yes.
the right timetable for the training. So you don't have to do the training,
Yeah.
but you can do a training. iSAQB has several training providers, and I work for one of them. So I'm also a trainer for this training. And the training is 3 or 4 days long. And after you have visited this training, you can pass the exam, or you can just do the exam. And so training is 3 or 4 days, so it's quite a few hours, but maybe afterwards you're already certified when you finish the training and pass the exam. So that's the idea. But you don't have to do the training. You can just read a book, or prepare by yourself, be prepared by yourself, and do the exam. They are offered by different companies, exam companies, or certification as institutes.
Yeah, there will be a slide for that later. And hey, Falk, maybe I just advertised your training, because I said it took way more time for me. So thinking about it, if I would have visited your training, that would be cool. But yeah, I did not do that, and maybe I would have saved a lot of time for me. So
I
you
think
never
the
know.
biggest benefit for a training is that you are not alone. So you have other
Yes.
attendees, and you can discuss different topics. And the part 6 example for software architectures is a kind of a case study, and there you just design a software architecture with a few more people together in small groups. And I think that's the benefit of the training. But it costs
Interesting
a bit.
thought of not
It's
doing
not
this
for free.
alone, because we will talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe for the next one, I will have this training. Yeah, then there are 3 categories about where to focus, what to focus on. So one is the most important topics. So this will be part of the exam. And then R2 may be part of the exam. R3 is only additional knowledge, additional information. and I tend to over-prepare for kind of everything. So I read everything I could get my hands on, and including the R2 and R3, and it did not hurt me. So it's always a good idea to consume, from my perspective, everything that you can get your hands on, just to have a better context of the real important topics.
That's also important for the exam, because R3, there are no questions about R3 topics. There are only questions in the exam about R1 and R2 topics. So if you are preparing the exam, you can focus on these topics. So it's actually there are learning goals. The curriculum you just showed in the last slide, it consists of learning goals, and they have the categories. And
yeah,
depending on which category you have it in the exam or not.
Yeah, and that is a great bridge. So it's like if we would have planned this. So now we are going a level deeper through the curriculum, and not talk about everything. So the goal here is to only mention what you will see in the curriculum and in the test. And maybe, so Moritz and Falk or participants here, so ask questions, join in with own knowledge, what could be important. I'm just skipping briefly over this. So what was interesting for me is, for example, definitions of software architecture. I think it's the first question. So how many definitions for software architecture are there? And maybe this is always the first question in the exam. And the answer is there are several definitions of what a software architecture is, and more good ones and not so good ones. And what else? Architecture decisions. So this is also from the experience that I had when learning this. So what was interesting for me when I learned it, for example, the last bullet point in the first header here, architecture decisions and their consequences. So architecture is about decisions. And in some teams, I always learn that there are there are different understandings of what an architecture is. And if an architecture is only the sum of all decisions that you have, then it becomes a different conversation. So that we are just talking, okay, different perspective, right? Not necessarily talking about technology or talking about what framework we use and what code style or whatever, but every decision we have is part of the architecture if it governs the system in a way that is hard to change later.
It's about requirements and decisions, actually, but of course there are 200 definitions of software architecture. At the Software Engineering Institute at Carnegie Mellon University, they have a web page, and they collected around about 200 different definitions. So quite a few.
Yeah. Okay. Next chapter 2, requirements and constraints. So just letting you skip over these. What is interesting, what was especially interesting for me. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, the quality scenarios, that is also interesting. So the second to last thing here, so that you define scenarios and define what you expect of the system. In what scenario, in what context, in what environment should the system behave in what way? And what could you expect from this scenario? That's an interesting idea because from my experience, systems are most often only viewed in their happy world and not viewed when things go rough. So, for example, you do not deploy on the optimal environment, or you deploy in a heavy load environment, stuff like this. Or things break, systems are not available, interfaces are not answering other systems, and so on. So this is really interesting. And also, for example, having decisions that make on the first glance the system not so good. So, for example, you could also decide that it's not necessarily, I'm not necessarily talking about the LG 0204 here, but in general, that you decide that the system should not focus on a certain quality. Yeah, but Falk, you wanted to say
I
something.
wanted to add that quality scenarios are kind of hidden champions in the software architecture, and they make it more clear what the quality goals are. Quality goals are things like usability, security, maintainability, and so on. But they are not fine-grained, coarse-grained. So yeah. And scenarios are more like examples which describe how our system we want to design has to behave. So they are quite valuable, and you can do quite a few things with scenarios. You can use them to make your architecture work visible, and you can also use them for an assessment. If you have a architecture evaluation, then they're also quite valuable.
Yeah, from my experience, I also think that's really important and valuable, especially in my all-day work. I often talk to non-technical guys about technical stuff, and you have to present them the technical things in an understandable way, and leveraging quality scenarios there, and just bringing the context, response measurement, and other metrics in a normal talking without technical specifications and words to them is really valuable, that you are able to speak the same language without speaking the same language, because we are talking in technical keywords and a lot of background knowledge, and they are living in their domain world most of the time.
Yeah, that basically strengthens what I said before, that architecture is not about, mainly not about technology and hard decisions, but of caring about humans. So, for example, the first one, identify stakeholders and their concerns, can be systems, but mainly they are humans. So it's quite, soft. On the first glance, it's of course not soft, but you have to talk and keep in mind that systems are designed for humans.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time, these stakeholders have two requirements: make it work, and I don't have no time and no money. And it's quite hard to make a system run without people telling you the requirements. So most of the time, really focusing on the most important things, talking to the right people, and then prioritizing all the information you have, and then building the quality scenarios and the base architecture based on these.
Exactly. All right, chapter 3, design and development. So this is a more technical header. Let's see what is interesting. Yes, building blocks, interfaces, black box, white box views. So this is something that you have to learn from the methodology. So there are different views that you can have on a system, and abstraction levels. Yeah. Also, static versus
especially
dynamic.
Black box, white box is interesting because when talking to other technical guys, they're living in their own system, and when you bore them with your own technical world and you just want to communicate about the interface, you really have to think about where to present a black box and where to present the white box, because it's most of the time only interesting. Or you have to think from the different perspective. It's really important information for the other guy. So what do you need to share and what maybe not? Because the more information you share, the more complexity you add to the conversation.
Yes. All right. Chapter 3, architectural patterns. Yes. So there you can see it's getting more technical. And these are all the abbreviations that you should at least heard of in your past development life. So, for example, port center adapters, CQRS, and so on, event sourcing. We will not get into these, but just as if you are interested in preparing for the exam, then you should at least have an idea of what they are doing. But on the other side, Falk, correct me if I'm wrong, but you must not know them in every detail and in every what is it, flavor. So you have to know what they are about, what problems they solve, and the benefits and the drawbacks. So this is enough. It's only a foundational test.
Yeah, like in real life, you don't have to know everything, but you have to know where to read about it. And here we have the R3 patterns, ports and adapters, CQRS, event sourcing, and so on. And it's not part of the exam, so you don't have to prepare it for the exam. But if you're interested, then you can just read about it. And if you need it in 6 months, then you can just ask your favorite LLM or whatever. And for the exam, you need to talk, you have to answer questions about layers, about pipes and filters, microservice. And actually, I think there's a monolith missing, but I'm not sure. I think that monolith is also a R1 pattern.
Yeah.
So maybe it's missing here, or maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. I think all of that you can can see in the curriculum. So it's publicly available, so everybody can just have a look at the curriculum.
Yes. And this, what we can see here, is an extract of that publicly available curriculum. Yeah. Cross-cutting concerns. Also interesting that we are not only talking about, when we are designing systems, what we can see when we are ready, so what you can actually do with the system, but also how it should behave, and kind of internal quality issues. For example, error handling and logging is something that you can only value if something goes wrong and you see, okay, now I have to find out what was actually happening. If you have a system that is running 1 year without any issues, and then something happens, then you will quickly reassess the quality of the system if you are not able, because of missing logging, because of missing security features, what's actually happening.
Cross-cutting means it's cross-cutting to the business functionalities, to the business requirements. So it's all the technical stuff which we have to deal with, like UI, error handling, security, and so on.
Right. And also what I love to see is the last one, energy efficiency. So the ecological side on deploying systems, running systems, it's gaining momentum. So also in the AWS design rules, it was also added a couple of months ago. And this is gaining traction.
But actually it got some momentum 3 years ago, but then AI came, or large language models came, and they are not very energy efficient. So it's
more or less the opposite.
The other way around now, unfortunately.
Yeah. I wanted to be optimistic here, but but you are right.
Depressing you.
Maybe we are just on the peak of this hype, and everything will be really okay in a couple of months regarding computing power that we need and energy consumption. Chapter 4, specification and communication. And here's again communication. So how do you actually communicate and involve others to implement your system, to understand your system? And here, this is I think from my perspective, one of the most important things to understand. There are different views on a system. So, for example, the four most important ones: context view, building block view, runtime, and deployment view. You can have these views by using several diagrams to get your view on the system. And these are the four important ones. And I hate to live or I hate to talk about a system without having these views in some form. But often, it's the case that you do not have them, at least not correct or not in the most or in the latest version, not matching what is actually deployed or missing some views. But I would love to have them always.
I think it's really important to split the view, because most of the time only one of the views is important for one of your stakeholders. So when talking to the business consultant or business requirement guys, you most of the time just talk about the context view, which other parties are included in our system, which interface partners do we have, which SLAs do we have, and so further and so on. And then only the context is really interesting. They don't care about, or mostly don't care about the deployment of us, if we are in a cloud, in a container environment or whatever, because they are just responsible that we talk to all the important parties. And the same thing for the other views. And the biggest reason for splitting them is you reduce complexity because you split them into four different views.
Exactly. What I actually learned and am happy to see a lot of years ago, I learned about ADRs. So the last bullet point here, the architectural decision records, short ADRs, and it was, from my perspective, at least new to me, but I learned quickly that it was at least new to a lot of architects and technical leaders of my projects couple of years ago. And I felt that it is kind of new just to create a text file and use some syntax or some template to document what you decided on and what status this decision has, because decisions will change sometimes in the future, and then you should keep track of what was the former version of your decision, why did you change that, what's the new version of the decision, and what does that mean for the system. And this was not documented for 90% of the systems I saw, and then it became some kind of common that everyone created ADRs suddenly, and that helped quite a lot. So maybe it was only my impression, or it's really new from a couple of years ago.
So I'm actually using ADRs quite always. So especially when designing new systems. So already in the offering phase, I'm thinking about what decisions are required to take, but especially what are the consequences.
Yes. And again, for the visitors, we are just mentioning these concepts here. If you don't know them already, we don't have the time, or we will not take the time to explain that, because then the talk will be, 6 hours or so. It will basically be false training that you should visit. Yes, but only that you see what could be important, and if you don't know these, it could be a good idea to read up on them before going to a training, before reading a book, or at least before doing the exam. Yes, chapter 4, UML diagrams. This was and is my weak point, and here are some diagram types that you should know in the terms of at least read, but also create, and know, for example, what arrows mean what, and the lines, if they are dotted, if they are lined, if they are whatever. It's important to know that.
But here come AI to our help, because large language models already know them very good, and you can just describe your business needs and tell them or ask them for a class diagram or deployment diagram, sequence diagram. And you can also use diagrams with code libraries like plant UML or mermaid.js. So that's quite easy now, and you don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert in UML, so I have the same problem like you, but I think it works fine with all the help we get now from large language models and different other libraries, plant UML and so on.
Yeah. See, Moritz,
I
you
think it's also
mentioned before
yeah.
that this is not an AI talk, but it may become one. So just reacting on what Falk says, I also see a pattern so that you as a human, or we as humans, we understand the business logic, or we think we understand them, and to ask questions or to communicate this business logic, we use AI to create a formal specification, for example, in the form of UML diagrams, but we will not look at them. And it's just so, okay, here it is, and maybe I read about it once and say, okay, this is good enough, and then put it out there. But what happens on the reader side is basically the same thing in reverse. So they just say, they just tell their AI, okay, have a look at these UML diagrams and tell me what's important for my use case, for my problem here. So if we put a black box around this middle thing where the UML diagrams are, read and written, so it's an interesting time. Moritz, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, exactly. One thing which is quite new is that you generate via AI the diagrams, but then you have to think about token usage as well. Maybe not today, but definitely in some weeks. And then you not only evaluate the actual result, so the visualized diagram, but the code of the diagram. So especially for plant, OML, and mermaid, you just can put them in the markdown file, render them locally. It's cool. It's a 80% solution most of the time. But in my case, I personally like to work in Draw.io, and then it's quite hard, but still there's a way to use the AI of your favor, create the XML diagrams, and then open them with Draw.io. This is also possible. But then you have way more text because you have an XML structure, you have data about the pixel positions or on the positions in the diagram. So it's better for you to adapt, and because you just have an UI, but from the token consume, it's worse. So choose the tool of your favor related to your context and your situation.
Yeah, and regarding those diagrams that are actually no diagrams, but just text, I also see a pattern that emerges or seems to be emerging, for example, in code reviews, and I'm guilty in this regard as well. If you have a code review and you are too lazy to just check out this branch and just have a look at this diagram in its code form. So you're not directly checking the diagram, but just reading the code for the diagram, not rendering it. So yeah, this becomes also an interesting way to read diagrams. Okay, so chapter 5, going to the analysis and assessment part, also are one goal, so you should understand and learn them. Let's see what was important for me. Scenario-based analysis, this I mentioned before. And yeah, for me, nothing really important is here. So it's all important, of course, but nothing stands out. Maybe from your perspective. Yes.
Actually, that's only a very small part in this training, for example. There are so-called advanced trainings. We will talk about it later, I think. And there's a 2-day training all about this chapter 5. And so you can go deeper with some of the advanced trainings later after foundation, if you pass the foundation certification, for example.
Yeah. And Stefan mentions in the chat, so ASCII doc and plant UML structurizer with Claude Sonnet rocks, throws out ARC2042 in an instant. Yeah, maybe. Load that to Qdrant. I don't know Qdrant. I should have a look at that. That brings down token usage, and as then you have the AI not running over the text files, but querying specific data from your rack. So yes, of course, this is a better way of doing things. But again, AI is kind of working against us because the contexts are growing and growing. So what we saw as you have to really get rid of this huge context a couple of months ago is now, yeah, just load it in the context. It's no worries, it will work. So it's kind of back in the days when the computers went faster and faster and you were taught to think about memory usage, and yeah, world is repeating itself now. No one is talking about memory usage or memory leaks anymore. All is only using Java. It will be okay somehow, and then it's not. And yeah, it seems to be the
But
same thing
then
with
browsers
Java,
spawned.
with AI.
Then browsers joined the game and ate all your RAM.
Yes.
Especially why Google now introduced a local LLM in Chrome with just 4 gigabits additionally, if you heard.
Yeah, what are 4 gigs? What? Yeah. Okay, but to the exam preparation. So these are the most important key terms to master on one slide. So maybe this is a good guide for you to check off the most important topics. But in addition, you have to, what Falk said previously, you really should look at the curriculum and make sure that your 300 euros that you invest for taking the exam is not lost because you forgot to learn something that is important. Okay, then a couple of slides
Maybe
in addition to the...
Yes. Add that there's a so-called mock exam.
Yes.
Are you talking about later, or should we talk now?
Briefly.
Okay.
But yeah. What's not in the exam, we already mentioned the R3 goals. These are not in the exam, but they help. And also out of scope, we talked about that also, UML fundamentals, but I put this little siren here because at least for me, it was really important to invest time in relearning this. I learned it, I think, several times over the last decades, but I tend to forget about that. And yeah, you should make sure that you at least can know the most important aspects of this. All right. So, summary about this was only meant to be a brief overview over the curriculum, and now we are kind of moving away from the curriculum to some methodology and then back to the curriculum. So we will talk about some of these topics in more detail. So my summary, it is a well-balanced curriculum, and that was important for me because you know these exams that you can take and the certifications that you can buy, and then you can say, okay, I am certified in this or that, but no one cares, and you just invested your time and money, and okay, you can say I am certified XYZ, but it doesn't bring you anything. And I think that this certifications is not one of those. It really is stuff you have to learn, or have to at least heard once, as if you want to call yourself an architect. And it really covers aspects of a real life architect's work. So highly advised, great investment here. And no, I don't get any money from that. Falk does. But go to Falk. He is providing you with all of this knowledge that you need. And by the way, Falk, thanks for posting these links in the chat. I will take that and put it in the show notes and also in the slides. Great. Okay.
Maybe one addition here, yes. Since I'm currently at the last sprint of my preparation for the certification, and currently reading the book from Gernot Starke. And one thing which I read there is how he describes to create diagrams in general, exactly, effektive Softwarearchitekturen, this one. And he describes creating diagrams not only with boxes and arrows and describe them, but additionally creating a table and some description about the arrows and icons, so a legende. And I leveraged this concept now in the last month, and I personally feel like it brings a lot of structure to the diagrams and moves complexity in a way that it's way more organized in structures, and you just can read the diagram better. And as I said, I use it now in some different contexts, and I will use this in the future, definitely. And on the other hand, I saw this really, really rarely only. So nobody really uses this concept, but I love it.
Yeah. Moritz, I remember common projects of you and me where we looked at diagrams not created by us, but by others. And there were some, for example, I vaguely remember that we have this one, it was a structural diagram, component diagram, I remember. And there was a red colored or blue colored box around some components, and no one told you what this means. So is this to be implemented? Is this old, to be replaced, to be brought down? I don't know. Is this really important or less important? What does this box mean? And it was, of course, not UML. It was not a UML box. You couldn't learn anything from it. Yes, that's important. Good. So now going back to the learning plan and my roadmap. So how did I approach this journey? These are the three things that are always important for me. So take people on board, forming a team, doing that together, which brings Moritz to this table. Again, Falk, I learned from you that these certifications exist and that they are important from your talks, for example. And Moritz, we had several common projects, and we both love to learn and love to develop ourselves in our roles. And this is why I partnered with Moritz, and that is something I can also advise. So don't take this journey alone necessarily. I mean, it's not that hard of a exam. You can do it alone, of course, but it's more fun when you do it with others. And then I love to make things visual. We will have some visual insights into these concept board and drawings later. So we use the concept board to organize ourselves, what we are reading, what links are important, and so on. And then having a plan, content-wise, I love to use roadmaps for that. And this is our roadmap for our learning experience. So it's a little bit wild, but it's the original roadmap. It begins on the top left. So Stephen added the UML 2.0 book to this roadmap because, again, I was weak and am weak in UML. And then this German-speaking books here on this slide, Basiswissen für Softwarearchitekten and Effektive Softwarearchitektur. And these are the two recommended books. And I really highly recommend reading both of them because they kind of have different angles on the topic and different strengths and focuses. But it's a really good investment in reading both. And then there were some internal trainings that we could use and that we partially have used. And also what we did was use this concept board here. Concept board is just conceptboard.com, where you can have concept boards to work with others. And we provided the links we found, for example, to the mock exam on the top right corner here, directly in this board to have all of the necessary resources for the both of us here. And then you can see the iSAQB CPSA-F is on the right lower corner. That was our goal to achieve. And as you can see, not everything is crossed off because Moritz mentioned that other projects were, got hold of him and took him from achieving this certification. But he is on his way, and I'm sure if he would decide to do it on this weekend, he will succeed. So I took this exam a couple of months ago. But this is one way of organizing yourself and your training partner for that.
When having a learning partner, most of the time one of the guys is the rabbit and the other one is the turtle. And in this time, Steven was the rabbit, and I'm still holding on to other responsibilities, but looking forward to taking the exam soon.
Yeah. I only try to live this one wise words from one colleague, and he said that Scrum boards are always worked upon from the right to the left and not from the left to the right. And it always bugged me that we had for months this project and that I did not finish this exam, and I really would like to have a check mark on that. Yes, in fact, you answered the question of Stefan. So the books by Neil Ford, Software Architecture Fundamentals, Evolutionary Software Architects. Yes, I can agree with Falk because he said that these books are great, but not necessarily important for the exam here. Yeah. All right, so
Especially
this
the
is...
evolutionary architecture is a more advanced topic, so it goes far beyond the fundamentals.
Yeah. And sometimes, maybe this is a good thing to mention here, sometimes, more advanced or later topics will bring you to questions in the exam too much. So you can, of course, in software architecture, debate everything and question everything. So yes, of course, you could use this pattern, but on the other side, I know these exotic patterns that we could also use, but in some situations the exam just wants you to know that this pattern is roughly the same, the right direction, and does not want you to lead to argue for the less right answers. So yeah, don't think too much into it. Or too advanced. Don't be too advanced, or don't think too advanced. Here you can see the German and the English titles as far as I found them for these books, but Falk also provided, I think, the sources for them. I will add these to the show notes and to the slides. What was a surprising thing for me in the preparation phase is that I did not use an additional Udemy course. So I am a huge fan of Udemy. I had a lot of courses there, and it was also a good method for me to learn stuff, because these, depending on the course you buy, but most of the courses, they have only short videos that you can snack in between on a workday. But I did not use any Udemy courses for that, because if I remember correctly, I'm not sure, but if I remember correctly, there was not a course that just promised me to be successful in this certification, and sold me that it would only be the source I want to consume. And in addition, there were these books, and books are also great because you can just determine how much you read on a given day. And this was the better choice, I think, because Udemy is great, but you have to pay for it in addition to reading those books. So I would recommend not necessarily buying a Udemy course, just use these books, but also discussions with ChatGPT. And here we are back at the AI topic. So yes, nothing is working without AI these days. And it's a good idea to let, for example, from ChatGPT or Claude or whatever your favorite AI, explain stuff that you don't understand back to you. So if you have a question, okay, what about in this scenario, and mention very, very clearly that you are preparing for this certification, because otherwise ChatGPT, of course, can argue everything back to you regarding software architecture, and you have to force it to only concentrate on what is important for the certification. And then it will be a good sparring partner. Yeah, how did Cloud fare in your discussions? Claude, yeah. So you can use any AI. I use ChatGPT because Claude was, I was not using Claude at that time, and that worked really great. But I think Claude, maybe if I am thinking about it real quick, Claude would be a better solution, because if you, for example, put all of these books in the directory on your hard drive, and your learnings in the markdown file as well, and then just fire Claude on it, then this Claude will do a better job in learning what you already know and what level you are. Yeah, and did you use Claude MD or Agents MD to give guardrails? No, it was really simple. I was just using ChatGPT and not even creating a, what was it in ChatGPT, a project for that, without any guardrails, just asking questions. Always beginning my prompts with, okay, please concentrate on preparing me for the exam, CPSA-F, and now here's my question. And that worked.
I think as well. Or Agents MD, Cloud MD, probably a bit overkill, giving a good system prompt. Yes, this makes probably sense. Or even creating a project with a preset system prompt for something like you and an iSAQB instructor. Your task is to ask questions, don't repeat yourself, and so further and so on.
Yeah. But this interesting. We are talking about two different things. So, Moritz, what you just mentioned is basically a coach that is asking questions. Let's talk about that in the next slides, because this is one of the methods that you can use, but it has its drawbacks. So basically, these flashcard style learning, it is not necessarily the right thing to prepare for this exam. At least not only concentrating on this. What I did with ChatGPT was really to clarify questions. Of course, I don't remember one of them. Just, for example, the difference between this one pattern and the other. There was this, for example, and I cannot recall it right now, this MVC and model view controller and model presenter controllers thingy. I always have to Google that, and I vaguely remember that I asked ChatGPT to explain that to me on an example. So this is how I used AI. All right. So some additional tips for the road. Yes. I mean, this may be obvious for people who have some kind of experience as software developers, but maybe if you don't have so much years on the road, maybe this helps. These three additional tips. The mindset: be a software architect. So even if you are not by definition a software architect, or your role designation doesn't state that you are a software architect, just be one. So even if you are only programming, if that even exists as a job right now, AI, but if you only develop stuff and only write code all day long and don't make any huge architectural style decisions, you can just train this skill by understanding what the stories you implement, why are they written like that, what are the assumptions, what are the views taken, how can you relate to this requirement, to this story in a bigger context, and then just working your way from down level up to the architectural level and understanding the huge decisions. This is important to just exercise this architectural and systematic thinking. The second is seeking input. So I researched, I brought YouTube to know that I am interested in software architecture even more than it knew before. And from then I got a lot of good video content regarding software architecture content. Again, that can force you down the rabbit hole in directions you do not want to have because they are too narrow, too deep, and too advanced for this test, but it's a good idea to just seek input and read about everything you can get. And learning out loud, again, that's something I love to do. Share your experience, so post everything or not everything, post important insights that you got on LinkedIn, Mastodon, YouTube, whatever. Really low level. Don't invest much time, much effort into the form and the content itself. Just put it out there and see if you can get any response. So maybe, maybe someone is responding to you and mentioning that this is not really right what you just said there. Maybe there's a different angle on viewing that, and so on. Just getting in the discussion, getting into the experience. And what also worked great for me is using GitHub as a public note-taking tool. I have several repositories projects that are just my notes when I learned something. And this has several benefits. For example, that it's publicly available. So if you are in the situation to showcase what you did in the past and how you learn and how deep you at least have heard aspects of one topic, you can just say, have a look at my GitHub repo, and there all of the content I read about is publicly visible. Okay, so the learning methodology. Let's have a deeper look into this one. My 3 pillars of learning: mind map, I can study, and practice. So this is not directly linked to this exam, to this iSAQB stuff, but you can use it for every topic you will learn, for everything you want to get your hands on. First, mind map. Something I learned to love when using the I Can Study learning program. I never was a huge fan of mind maps, sadly, because now I learned how to get faster and deeper knowledge with them. So I use the app Concepts on my iPad, which is a great way to rearrange things, and you have to really do a lot of rearranging when drawing a mind map. And this is my first content that I create when I read articles, when I, for example, consume Udemy articles, and in general, everything that is new to me goes immediately in this mind map. And the second thing I want to talk about is the I Can Study learning program, because this teaches you how to actually use these mind map and leverage all of the features of mind maps. So I will show you now the mind map I created for this topic here. Let's see if that works. You should see this mind map now. Do you? Please provide feedback, because I cannot see
Still
anything.
black.
Still black.
It's still black.
I feared that. Let's see. This is not the right one. And let's see, use this one. Now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So happy that this works. Live demos and talks. So this is the mentioned app. You cannot see the controls, but you can see the map, and this is the most important one. You cannot read anything, but I will zoom into bits of that. So what you can see here are, you can also see how I created that in which order. So for example, in this region here, and sorry, it's in German, but it's not necessary to understand everything I have here. So what it says here, it's kinds of systems. So what kinds of systems exist? For example, decision support systems, real-time systems, mobile systems, and so on. So that you can understand what kinds of systems are out there and what is the general characteristic of those. This is basically one of the first chapters of one of the 2 books we mentioned earlier. Then we see how to describe software architectures, and this arrow down here, it goes to the architecture frameworks that you can use for describing software architectures. One of the most important ones, the ARC42 we already mentioned, is here. And you can see, for example, what we mean by describing and communicating software architectures by this great architecture communication canvas here. It's on one slide, everything really important that you have to know about a system. And this is one of the templates that is provided by ARC42. And this really is a great source to learn what it means to communicate software architecture. And by necessity, you will learn, for example, here what UML diagrams can you use to express, for example, the components and modules of a system. So you can see, and this is what I want to express here, how these concepts relate to each other. So again, here you will want to know what kind of systems exists. What can you do with those systems? You can describe those systems. How can you describe those systems? You have to know that there are certain architectures for describing systems. And then you can also see what are how they relate to each other. So, for example, the ARC42 system loves little heart here. It loves the iSAQB because the iSAQB also provides a simple model regarding what we mentioned earlier, the views. So here you can see you have different architectural layers that you can that have certain levels in them or layers in them, and these are expressed by diagrams and so on. And this is directly compatible to the ARC42. But again, I do not want to talk about the content here. We can do that later on. And there I would like to have your feedback as well, Falk and Moritz. But just how can you use this mind map? So it's about connections. And then when you learned how to describe your software architectures, then you can also evaluate those software architectures. And for that, Falk mentioned that there are, for example, these ISO 25010 or what is it? Yeah, 25010 in Germany. These ilities, they are also called. So how can you express what qualities does a software system have? And what you can also do with mind maps is something like this. One of the more important learnings that I got from the I Can Study program, that you can just use abbreviations to remember what are those 8 aspects here. So friendly penguins can use rockets safely, making progress. And now I can at least remember the first letters of these 8 aspects here. So I just want to highlight
There's a newer version now. It's from 2023, and
oh no,
there are 9 ilities now, and the last one which is missing here is safety.
Yeah, it's actually here. It's safety.
Yeah,
and this is I have to add a new S. No, I mean I have to write an email maybe later this evening to say to them they can do that. They have to get rid of that because otherwise my penguin rocket is not working anymore. So,
But the funny thing is, when you're at safety there in Germany, we only have one translation for security and safety. It's the same word in German.
Yes.
It's Sicherheit. In English, it has different purpose because the one thing is internal security and the other is the external. So different things.
We translated it with Betriebssicherheit, so safety is Betriebssicherheit in German, and it's a different kind of safety of security. So yeah.
That always works in the German language. If you just add a word to a word, make it more complicated, then you have yet another word that you can add words to. Okay, but this is how I learned this content, and as you can see, that is also nice. What is this ATAM? Yes, the phases and so on. This is what I used, and it really got this structural thinking into my head. And here you can see all of these patterns, so architectural patterns, and for example MVC, MVP, and then you can just have, if you are too lazy and if it doesn't bring you any value, then you can also put these screenshots of diagrams in here, and but it's better to draw them and so on. Okay. So just wanted to showcase what my main learning tool looked like. Good. So going back to the original slides. Okay, so this is the pillar 1, the mind map. Pillar 2 is the I Can Study. I am thinking about opening this website, but on the other hand, why not? So let's have a look at this real quick. And again, I do not get any money from this, but my goal of this talk is to provide you with the best insights on how you can get to this exam and what I actually used. And this simply is part of it. It doesn't mean that this is the best way to do it, but it worked for me. So iCanStudy is a program from this guy here, and it helps you to learning and to be better adapting your skills when with faster understanding and faster writing to your memory. This is what this is all about. It is quite costly though. It is around, here it is, $400 a year, or maybe even 500, depending on what is the current price. And I am going to log in and show you what you will get from this program, because it's, to be honest, I invested this kind of money without really understanding what will happen. But it was a good decision, and it was more than 1 year ago, so I renewed this subscription at least once, and I am willing to make this investment also in the future. So there are, for example, toolkits. One of the more so you get tools that you can use on this website. For example, something that's called guided corps. It is a feedback mechanism to focus on your aspects of learning that don't work well, and to find a way of making it better. On the first glance, it really looks like you don't need that, but from my own experience, I did that once, and it helped me to find a solution for one problem I had in my learning. Again, on the first glance, you think, okay, maybe this is too easy, or I can not do that, but you should really get through this program step by step. Let me see what else. For example, just clicking around here. What? Yes, the page is sometimes a little bit sluggish. So let's see my previous stage. I don't see what. Yeah, there's the high yield foundation skills phase, where you just learn. How can I get rapid start fundamentals? Yeah, let's go here. Not going too deep into that because we are 1.5 hours in, but just want to say, yes, spacing, interleaving, and retrieval. That's basically a nice lection here. So you will learn about spaced repetition learning, and how it really works. And there's video content here, but also a lot of drawings and a lot of text here. And what is also important is your encoding skills, so that how you write actual content in your brain, and also the retrieval skills. So how can you get it out of there? It's relatively abstract what I'm saying here, but it helps you in understanding how this actually works. And by the way, this Justin, that is the owner and main speaker of this program, he's a medical doctor, and he really knows his stuff about psychology and how learning actually works. So this is something I highly recommend in investing your time and, of course, money in. But enough of the advertisement. Again, I don't get any money for this. Here it is, the iCanStudy. This is what I learned, for example, the encoding and retrieving skills. So, for example, another thing I learned is the willpower. Yes, now I see what I meant with the slide, so sorry. The learning cards. I was a huge fan of learning cards, and I learned for other test situations only with learning cards. For example, for the AWS certifications, at least some of them. This brought me to, I don't know exactly, but 600 learning cards in my Anki deck. And Moritz, I think at least you can relate because we learned together with Anki learning cards for AWS. And this doesn't get you anywhere because from day to day, you only get more cards you have to repeat. And if you do it right, then this is okay-ish. But if you are in the situation I was at that time, meaning no hands-on with AWS and only relying on those learning cards for this learning experience, it doesn't bring you anywhere. You cannot grasp the structure of these concepts, of the services, how they relate to each other, what they are good in and what they are bad in. So this is what I switched out with my mind map now, learning for this certification here, and that was a good decision. The second thing I learned is willpower dependent to willpower enhanced. So I thought and am still thinking that one of my strengths as a person is my willpower. So if I really want to achieve something, I can invest a lot of willpower into it and invest a lot of time and prioritizing this one topic higher than a lot of other topics. And I thought that, for example, regarding the Anki maps, the Anki learning cards, that it is a good thing that I can force myself to repeat those cards day and day and day every day. But this is not the best thing you can do, because it is better to build habits that will lead you naturally to learning experience and only enhancing those habits with your willpower. So it is from willpower dependent, because if every time I want to learn and want to repeat stuff, I am willpower dependent, meaning when after a long day of work, I don't have so much willpower, I will not be able to invest it, and then I will not learn. And then I will lose my learning streak and everything is burning. To willpower enhanced. So if I have a habit that leads me to a better way of learning every day, then I can just invest willpower to enhance this learning experience. I hope it makes sense. It's one of the lessons that you can learn in the I Can Study program. And again, this is highly individual. So maybe this works for you, maybe it doesn't. But for me, it worked a great deal. Okay, and then pillar 3, practice with ARC42. So I was a huge fan of ARC42 before this learning experience, but now, yeah, it strengthened my fandom of this methodology. And it's a really good idea to get your hands on the templates of ARC42 and just document a real or a sample project using these sources and using these templates. And Moritz, at least we tried to get this into our daily work as software architects. We, for example, reviewed some systems in our daily work and used the ARC42 templates at least partly. And this is something you really have to do, getting your hands on the actual architecture work and not only learning theoretically. Okay, so this is regarding the learning methodology. I wanted to get this also in this talk because I think it's important to not, for example, begin with only learning cards, flashcards, and totally drown in the missing links between these concepts. Is there anything you want to add, Falk or Moritz, regarding the how to learn for this exam?
No, it's okay. Of course, there are trainings.
Yes, of course, the trainings.
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite a
you will have. Yeah. Yes, you will have the chance to talk about the trainings when we get to the part of the advanced certification. Yes, good. Mm-hmm. So regarding content picks, we can talk about some of the content topics that we briefly touched before. If you, meaning Falk and Moritz, and of course the listeners want to, so I could, for example, open my mind map again, or Falk and Moritz, is there something you would like to briefly introduce that is especially important content-wise?
Not for me.
Okay.
No, I think you
Yeah.
mentioned a lot, so
Yes. Yes. Okay, just skipping through it. Yeah, I think for the time we should skip that. Okay, then to the exam preparation. So you already learned about the roadmap that Moritz and I used, the books we read, the sources that we did not consume, and the additional methods that we used, for example, the ICS. And now the last phase of your learning experience, so the exam preparation, meaning really going to or preparing to go to the exam situation. As Falk already mentioned, there is a partner system in place. So maybe Falk, you can just tell the difference again about the partnering companies, so the training providers and the certification bodies, if you like.
yeah, there are actually 3 different parties. The iSAQB is the association who prepares the curriculum and exams, did them. And then there are the training companies, like the one I work for, and there are quite a few, so you don't have to come to us. You can also find another one next to your city, or there are lots of online offers. And the training companies are not allowed to make the exam, or the exam is organized by an independent certification body, and so it's parted. So there's it's not allowed to have one party to do all of them. So that's the reason. And most of the
Interesting.
training providers are organizing the exam, so they just order the exam vouchers by the certification bodies, so you don't have to deal with all of them. But when you do the exam, then there's somebody from the certification body, or that's online. It's their web page where you do the exam. Then is that? Yeah,
That is why we cannot get the whole deal directly from you. Interesting.
You can. We just organize it for you. So you pay for
Yes.
the exam. You can also pay us for the exam, and then we just transfer that to certification companies.
And we will, in a
make
couple
an
of slides, I
appointment.
guess, have a look at the Socrator. How is it pronounced? Socratori?
So Creatory is a
Socratori.
subsidiary of my company, of the company where I work for on Embark. And it's a training company.
Yeah.
So it's a
And we will look.
subsidiary of Embark.
Yes, we will have a look at the page, because it's great in the preparation for the advanced level, because there is a nice tool that you can use. We will look at that later. Something that you have to decide on is how you would like to have this exam. So if you would like to go personally to a test center, so this is the on-site option, or doing that by remote and online via a proctored exam. And so there are benefits and drawbacks for both of these options. Just in an overview, I never visited the test center, but I know people who did that. And there's also good or bad feedback from that. So you don't have to really care about the technical setup, because this is what the test centers mainly provide. So you go there, just hand in your ID, and of course book your appointment beforehand, and then you just sit in a room and often get some kind of ear protection, and then the test begins. The computer is there and everything you need is there, and you don't have to care for anything. On the other side, it's seemingly a little unpersonal, because the only reason those test center exists is that people go there to do their tests, and depending on the test center, it's not a very pleasant environment. Again, only what I heard, never visited once. And this is, of course, different when you do the remote online proctored exam. There you are sitting, for example, at home or in your offices. But on the other side, this is what I also had, not difficulties, but challenges with. You have to clean your room, not in the sense of putting stuff where it belongs, but basically putting stuff away, meaning everything. So books, pieces of paper, especially technical items. So you are only allowed to have a laptop, one monitor, and your webcam, and basically a keyboard and the mouse, and that's it.
My
There was
recommendation is to just go to a meeting room, clean meeting room.
Yeah.
You don't have to clean up your desk.
Yeah, but
and-
even that, if this meeting room, I don't know, is decorated, for example, with images, or that there is more than one screen in this room, then this, for example, could also not be allowed, or you have to prove that this is turned off. So, for example, you have to, when you do this at home, you have to move your webcam around, even under the desk, and several times under the desk and behind the desk and behind you, and filming yourself from all angles is really kind of weird. And I remember that I filmed my desk, and there was one inactive screen sitting on this desk, and they saw that there's this LED was not turned off because it was in power saving mode, and I have to make sure that I pull the plug on this screen, because I, for example, could make it run in the middle of this
You can just put
test
a
or
towel
whatever.
over your screen. That's a life hack.
A towel.
Just take a
Ah.
towel and
Okay.
But I think the remote exams are quite easy now. That's one of the advantages of COVID, I think. So
Yeah.
we do a lot of things remotely now, and the doing exams online is quite easy. The test center, I have also no experience with test centers, but if you book a training, then most of the time afterwards, in the same location, the exam, you can write the exam. There will be an examiner from this certification companies, and then you just write your exam in the last hour of the training. So that can also be
Yes.
possible
Yeah.
if you order a training, or also a training in-house at your company's site, and the examiners come to your place and they do the exam with you.
Yeah, that totally would not work for me. I need time from learning something to
Yeah, it's
being
okay.
able to reproduce it. But I love your idea with the towel. I mean, wasn't there something in IT that you always should have a towel with you? So you would be
I
ready
don't know.
again. Yes. It was on page 42, I guess. Okay, going back to
Maybe
the
my
exam.
last take related to this, my trick was just to use the laptop on the dining table. So clear everything,
Exactly.
close the door, dining table. And my learning from the second AWS certification, use a power cable because you won't get the notification of an empty battery when the certification software is running. And I started with 100%, and I think after 2 hours of certification, I had like 3%, and only noticed after finishing the exam. So I was lucky. Don't stress it. Use a power cable.
Oh, you mentioned something I totally forgot. Yes, of course, you should really think about on what machine you would like to have your remote exam, because you have to install the software that is basically, granted every system right you can possibly have, because it shuts down any other process and any other device and so on. And it's recommended to create a new user account on your machine, and on this user account only install this software. Don't do it on your
But
normal user account, and don't try to do it on a business laptop because of, I don't know, VPN and other security software thingies. It's impossible.
But the certification companies I know, they just use a web client. So every browser should be sufficient to make the exam, to do the exam.
Really?
Yes,
But I
Steve,
don't know all. But
we did it with Pearson VUE, and they have
Yes.
some custom software which is totally hacking your PC, turning everything off and going to the root, and inspecting every process. So, and
Yes.
as I mentioned, having so much power that it eats your battery.
yeah, okay.
Just for monitoring a full Mac battery. So I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing seemingly much.
The bitcoins have to come from somewhere, right? But no, I don't. We don't know what this does, but it's a good idea to have your power cable plugged in. Yes. All right. So here's the exam format. So it's 75 minutes, and from my judgment, you will not need the 75 minutes. And there's also an additional couple of minutes if you are a foreign speaker. So if you are not an English speaker, then you get some minutes more. But from my feeling, if you need those minutes, then something is off. I vaguely remember in under 30 minutes, because either you really know the answer of the question or not. And these are the types of questions. So it's a multiple choice test. We didn't say that before. It's a multiple choice test. You can have the single choice, multiple choice, or the matching. The matching is quite new, I vaguely remember. No, it was in the AWS tests. Just disregard what I just said. Yeah, these are the three types of questions. And the most dangerous thing is that you really have to read the questions carefully, because sometimes one or two words are the most important words in this question. So either a not or more important or whatever, stuff like that. And here are the mock exams. So Falk, you already mentioned there are mock exams from one official mock exam on the iSAQB website. I think these are two PDFs, one only the questions and the other with the answers, right? So if I remember correctly, a good idea to only download the first PDF with only the questions and writing down your answers somewhere else, not taking the one where the answers are, and basically just reading the question, then reading the answers and the right solutions and say, oh yes, I would have remembered that. This is totally not what you want to do. You will want to create this real exam experience. So, for example, setting a timer and sitting where you would like to sit when taking the exam, and shutting off your phone and so on, and basically reproducing this training scenario, or the exam scenario. And be aware, there is only one official iSAQB test exam. So if you consumed that, there's no turning back. You will remember when doing that again at least some of the questions, and you really should think about when doing this test exam. Not at the beginning, just to see how it would feel like, but rather at the end of your studies.
Yeah, there are these interactive websites. I just put links on the chat.
Nice.
They use the same questions like the official mock exam from the iSAQB, but they are interactive, so it's quite kind of the real world scenario. You can just answer the questions, and afterwards you see your points or your result. So it's a bit easier to use, and I think most of the remote exams are looking nearly the same, so that you are better prepared for the remote exams then.
Mm-hmm. You said you put the link in the chat. I don't see it yet, so
48 minutes ago, so you have to scroll up a
bit. Yes, one of the first ones. Yes,
Stefan had some more questions or some more comments later, so
yes. Great.
Actually,
Okay.
this last one from Johannes Seitz. Johannes Seitz is from InnoQ. He's a trainer, a colleague of mine, a trainer colleague. I don't know how he implemented this tool, but the other one from Near or whatever he is called, GitHub.io, that's a wipe-coded tool. So I know the trainer of this person. I don't know him, but I know his trainer. And in the iSAQB Foundation training, he just implemented this interactive website. So it was wipe-coded with Cloud Code or whatever.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, so it's quite new. And it works very well.
Nice. There's no turning back from AI.
Yes.
So here is, I mean, maybe this slide is not really fitting for this for our participants here, but it roughly you should think about how to approach this certification situation. So 2 weeks before, 1 week before, 1 day before, not learning directly before, not repeating directly before the training, the exam, and everything basically that you did in your studies, if you remember it. Okay, and last thing, technical setup tested. This is really important when doing your proctored exam at home. You really should test the technical setup. I vaguely remember that it was not the iSAQB, but in another situation, I ran into problems when I realized that how intrusive the software was, and I had to get another laptop in my 45 minutes of preparation before the exam begins. And if you have this scheduled appointment, then you can only use this time in this time box. And that was quite an interesting situation, to getting another laptop and installing this software on it in this preparation time just before this exam really started. Brings up your blood pressure, and I somehow managed to get the certificate despite these organizational issues. Then time management. So if we have a look at the 75 minutes and it's 40 questions, you have roughly less than 2 minutes per question. It's a good idea to just get over the questions that are easy to answer. And there is in this proctored exam an option to not answer a question right now, but save it for later, or basically skip questions. And don't get stuck on your first question that you are not sure of. So answer all of your questions that come easy, and then have a look at again at the hardest questions or the ones that you could not answer at the very end, and maybe or maybe not going over your questions if you have the time. So I did not do that, because I learned that for me, if I rethink a decision that I made earlier, I tend to make it to render it to a wrong decision. And what also is a good idea, to read the entire question first. So there is, if I remember correctly, there are a lot of words sometimes that don't have any meaning for the question, but it's important to read the entire question first, to not get pushed into a thinking direction that is different when you are at the end of the question. So read the entire question first. And of course, stuff like that's true for all multiple choice tests. Eliminate obviously wrong answers. So this is really a good thing to do, and it works really well, because again, this is a foundation level questions, and it's easy to disregard wrong answers. Anything more to add to the certification?
You should only guess for the single choice questions. If you have multiple answers, then you can get minus points.
Yes.
So that can be
Yeah.
So you can guess, so single choice doesn't matter because you can find the right answer or not. But for the multiple answer questions, maybe you can also leave some answers so you don't have to answer all the or make all the choices.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, there is in the official curriculum or in the test preparation PDF, there is kind of an algorithm that you can use to maximize your chances of a good result. So if you are unsure in this type of question, you should do either this or either that. And there's also the option of not answering this question or not clicking the option that you are not 100% sure of. And this maximizes your chance of high points.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for the certificate, the result is not written down on the certificate, so it doesn't matter if you have 60% or 99%. So it's only for you to have as much points you can get, but it's not very important afterwards.
By the way, do you know what percentage is necessary to complete?
60.
To pass?
60.
60.
60%.
Okay.
Yes. It was on your slide
Doable.
2 slides ago.
It was on my slides. Okay.
Yeah.
Then
3
it's 60.
slides. 60%.
Great. So, as the last part of this talk, Outlook CPSA Advanced, because I really want to get to show you this, I think, great page. So this is, let me try it again. So creatory. So
creatory. It stands for Software Creator Academy. So they needed a name which was not used somewhere else. So that's the reason. And Eberhard Wolf made a video where he interviewed quite a few people, and they all spelled it different or pronounced it differently. So creatory is. I pronounce it so creatory.
Okay. Yeah. So if you go on, or maybe I'm going to switch to English here. So there is this topics section and then the iSAQB trainings. And again, we are now talking about the advanced level trainings, and here are the trainings offers. And what I was searching for is when you are wanting to go to the advanced level, there is this modular system. So was it when I click here? Oh no, we are already here. Yes. So you need, where was it? Down here. You need a certain, Falk, what do you need? We need a certain amount of.
When you pass the foundation certificate or the foundation exam, then you can go further and participate at the advanced certification. And therefore, you need to visit. So that's mandatory. Then you have to visit at least 3 of about 20 different trainings. So there's one for architecture documentation, one for architecture evaluation, one for flexible architecture, one for web architectures, and so on. And you collect credit points, and you need 70 credit points.
This was what I'm searching for. Yes.
Yeah, 70 credit points. And each day of a training gives you 10 credit points, so you need 7 days. And some of these trainings are 2 days, some are 3 days, so you need at least 3 or maybe 4 trainings then. And there are different kind of categories so there you have communicative, technical, and what's the last one? Methodology credit points, and you need 10 of each of these categories. For example, API, the one in the middle above, that is a 2-day training I had yesterday, Monday and yesterday. I had this training in Cologne, or I gave this training in Cologne. And there you get no communicative credit points, but technical and the other one, methodische. On German. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's a bit difficult now in English. And yeah, so you can just use this Baukastenprinzip here, so modular system, to choose which trainings fit together. So you can choose, but maybe you are missing some credit points in one category, and then you have to choose one which offers these credit points. And of course, you
Yeah.
can also do more than 3 trainings. You are not, you don't have to do only 3. You can also do 5, 6, 7, whatever topic are you interested in. And when you've done, or when you collected these 70 credit points, then you are allowed to make the exam, and the exam is a bit more difficult and a bit more expensive. It's homework. It's a bit like a bachelor thesis, where you have 40 hours or maybe 80 hours, or you need 40 to 80 hours, and you have 3 months at home on your own, where you have you get a your task is to design a software architecture for fictive system, and yeah, that's it. That's quite interesting. It's challenging, but you learn a lot. And afterwards, I think it's at least you don't have the opportunity to develop software architecture that often in your life, in your career. And most of the time you're not alone. Most of the time you're doing it with your colleagues, and you're not the chief architect or something like that. But in this exam, iSAQB advanced exam, you are on your own, and I think you can learn a lot by just doing it. It's kind of a kata. So like code katas, where you are practicing your code capabilities, you are practicing your architecture capabilities. So it's kind of an architectural kata. Maybe you've heard about this term. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Falk. Thanks so much. Okay. So here is in the slides also what Falk just briefly mentioned. And also this oral examination, that's also part of the assignment, right?
Yeah,
So you have to
it's an
defend
interview
it.
afterwards.
It's like a
Yeah,
thesis.
genau.
Yes.
Yeah. It's that's like in a thesis. You also have to
Yeah.
defend it against or with your professor or whatever. And here there are 2 examiners. I'm also kind of an examiner. I'm doing some corrections of these exams. And if you pass the advanced exam, then, or the written assignment, then you have an interview. It's just in a remote interview where you have to defend your work.
Nice. All right. So that brings us really to the end now. I would like to summarize my key takeaways and some sources, and then give over to Falk and Moritz to also share some more knowledge. So my key takeaways, CPSA-F, which is a great wording here. It's a good idea to invest your time and money in this certificate, and the self-study is possible. So you, of course, it is a good idea to buy a training at Falk and his company, but it's also possible to just read a couple of books and use the official curriculum and the test exam. And it's also a good idea for especially for people who had their formal training of how to learn a couple of years ago. So most of the people working in IT, they had they studied at the university, for example, and there you of course repeat and learn how to study, how to learn quickly, and how to pass exams. But over the years, while working on the job, you tend to forget about this. And if you are in the situation where you need to learn fast and need to learn efficiently, then maybe you have to relearn this learning process. So this is where the self-study system comes into play. For that also the learning partners help, so get yourself some buddy who is also trying to achieve this certification, and also of course use mock exams, not just the one provided from the official pages, but also, for example, generated by AI or the tool Falk mentioned that I will also put in the show notes. So these are my key takeaways from this experience, and of course it's fun just to learn new stuff, learn with in a structured way, with a given curriculum and good written books. The pros and cons of doing this is, of course, the advantages we talked about. It is recognized widely. You have a structured framework, a common vocabulary, and of course, a career advancement, maybe more necessary now than ever. And this is something you should invest in. But on the other side, there is this cost of training, not just the 300 euros, but also your time. So you could have costs of opportunity when missing basically spending your time elsewhere, but this is something you have to take into consideration. Sometimes there is this theory versus practice gap, and for me especially it was yes, I am kind of an architect, so this what I learned in this preparation and in the learning phase, it was a benefit for me personally and in my role. But on the other side, I do not design systems, IT systems, software systems on a daily basis. So there are roles that are better fitted for this certification than others. And keep in mind what is your best way of developing yourself and your career forward. And also the last thing, certification alone doesn't make an architect. So if you are just doing this in, for example, the hopes of getting a new job, I don't know, elsewhere, or getting a promotion, and just learn to pass the exam and not learn to actually use the knowledge, then don't do it. So it's a good idea to actually be interested in the stuff you will learn and to really use it in the right sense. Okay, so last thing here, recommended timing, have a lot of, or have at least some years of development experience, as mentioned in the first in the first slides. Some exposure to architectural decisions and the interest in the bigger picture. These were the items for me that I could cross at the beginning when learning, or when beginning to learn, and that is a good timing to begin your journey in the CPSA-F. And here are some further reading slides. Again, I will put the sources Falk mentioned here. So, for example, this will be a link in the slides, the Advanced Prüfung Entschlüsselt Einleitung. I think this is one of the architectures on your side, Falk, right? Or
yeah,
is it
in
even
German,
your?
unfortunately, but
yes,
it's my art. It's a blog.
it is your article, right?
Mine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's mine.
Yeah, we have the really the knowledgeable people here in this meeting. And there's also Eberhard Wolf, who has a lot of videos on this topic on YouTube, and I will link to that as well. Sadly, he does not have, if I remember correctly, a playlist dedicated to this topic. But if you visit his YouTube profile and just search for CPSA, then you have a lot of content there.
He has tags, so you can just search for the iSAQB advanced certification tag or something like that.
Okay.
But most of his content is also in German. Sometimes English, yes. But these are in German.
Yes. Yeah, that was what I mentioned before, that that seems to be a German-focused certification. So you should really think about, maybe that's also a disqualifier of the certification if you are internationally, or if you want to go internationally, maybe there's another alternative for you. But on the other side, maybe that's also building on top of each other. So it could be a good idea to do that before this other certification. Okay, now
it's no problem.
Yes, that's right. Okay, So I am through with my content. So let's open the questions and answers section for this talk. And first of all, I want to thank Falk and Moritz for your content as well. And I would like to give you the last words. So what are your experiences with these certifications, or maybe some last tips for everyone who wants to do this?
My tip would be probably it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you enjoy the learning path, and this is the part of the journey where you leverage most knowledge. So as I mentioned with the example when I read in the book of Gernot Starke during my preparation the concept of diagrams, tables, and legends. Directly use this in my daily work. And this is, I think, the important step when you read something in your preparation, you can directly leverage this in your daily work. And this is more or less what a certification is about, that you learn something which you can directly use.
Yes.
Yeah, I think software architecture work is often overlooked. And as a software developer, we are deciding lots of architectural decisions all the time, but we don't think about it, or we don't see that they are quite important often. And if we want to build, and I think all of us want to build maintainable, flexible, scalable systems, then it needs some more methodological steps. Sorry. And I think the curriculum of the iSAQB Foundation certification, it actually helps us to put the different steps together, and it's quite easy, but there are many different steps, and it helps for your own projects. Helps a lot.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to end the official part of this talk here. If there are questions, we are just staying here, even if I click stop on the recording. So just stay here and ask your questions, or give feedback. That would be also highly welcome. And also to the participants, I would love to have a feedback on meetup.com if you have an account there, if you visited us from there, maybe a good one as well. And also, if you did not do that before, you can also join the group on meetup.com. This is where you get information about the upcoming events. There is none planned yet because stuff or topics are changing for me. So there will be topics in the future, but none planned as of now. And you can also have a look at the website, which is techdevcircle.de. And there you can find all of the information, for example, the background or the sources that we are creating here. And what you can also do is joining the YouTube channel and getting notifications of newly uploaded videos on that channel. So thanks again to the both of you, Moritz and Falk. And if you want to stay here, dear participants, then do that and ask questions. If there are none, then I would close this stream. So last chance. Are there any questions or feedback from your side? Yes. Thanks, Stefan. Sadly, I will not be there. But Moritz, you will be, right? In Magdeburg?
Yeah,
Yes,
I will
Falk,
be there
you
for
as
the
well?
presentation.
I will be there as well.
Damn. Okay, yes. So, Stefan, I don't know if Falk and Moritz know what you look like, but now you know what they look like, and you can just
come
chat with
to
them.
us and chat with us. And sadly that you are not in your hometown, Stephen.
Yes, rub it in, rub it in. Yes, I cannot. I don't have an excuse. No, I don't. I don't. Concentrating on other topics right now, and but maybe next year. Maybe next year. Maybe you can just shameless self-plug your talks, Falk and Moritz, because you have of course you have talks, right? For the Magdeburger Developer Days.
Yeah, I'm not sure which talk I have actually. It's
Yes.
it's next week.
Are you sure you already prepared it, or maybe you will only
The
prepare
talk
it
is
later?
already prepared, and I
Oh,
think it's
yes.
about agile software architecture work or something like that. But let me have a look.
Yeah.
So for me, it will be something about practical AI usage in software development.
Yes,
Okay.
there it is again. Cool.
So it's no, I was wrong. It's the modular monolith. Monolith instead of microservices, my title.
Yeah.
So it's about software architecture styles and consequences of choosing microservice style, or maybe monolith is a more fitting style for most projects.
Nice.
Sorry,
So
was not prepared for that, but it's already prepared. Slides are already prepared.
nice. So if you know Falk and or Moritz, you know that these will be good talks. And if you visit the Magdeburger Developer Days in June, I guess. Was it June?
May.
No, next week.
Next week.
Next week. Oh, okay, next week. Then you know that these are talks you should visit. Okay, then thanks again to all of you. Falk and Moritz, just stay here. I'm going to end the stream now. So to all of you, stay healthy, have a nice day, a nice evening wherever you are, and have fun developing, even though the world is changing. And yeah, hopefully there will be a place for passionate software craftsmen like us, in addition, next to guiding or be guided by the AI. But yeah, keep on learning and see you next time. Ciao.